Nacho Sundays, every Sunday at 6 p.m. Live on YouTube on the EBL exclusive Battle League Network. Hosted by FiboNacci Brown.
Nacho Sundays, Nacho Sundays, Nacho Sundays. Nacho Sundays, Nacho Sundays, Nacho Sundays. Nacho cheese, beefy, nacho veggie, nacho supreme, nacho Sundays.
Nacho Sundays. Where it's not your opinion, it's Nacho's opinion. Hosted by FiboNacci Brown.
Nacho Sundays. Nacho cheese, beefy, nacho veggie, nacho supreme,
Nacho Sundays. Where it's not your opinion, it's Nacho's opinion. Hosted by FiboNacci Brown.
Nacho Sundays. Nacho cheese, beefy, nacho veggie, nacho supreme, nacho Sundays. Nacho Sundays. Nacho Sundays. Nacho Sundays.
Hosted by FiboNacci Brown. Don't forget to go to FiboNacciBrown.com to get your copy of Growing Down.
Nacho Sundays. Nacho Sundays.
Brought to you by the exclusive Battle League Network. EBL. What up, dope family? Did you miss me? I know y'all probably thought I wasn't gonna come on this evening. Like 6 o'clock was going on, Nacho. I don't see you with the theme song and everything. And listen, I'm in the process of filming a video for one of the songs from our Scription Volume 2 album. Make sure you guys check that out on all platforms. Enough about that later. But yes, I'm in the middle of kind of like getting some shots for the video, and it ran over a little bit, so I'm trying to juggle a lot of things going on. But hey, I'm here and I'm ready to talk about it. First things first, we're gonna get our announcements out the way. And to start our announcements, as many of you know, there was an iBattle card yesterday. I believe it was called a Playing with Fire card. And one of my favorites, MissVicious, battled Kunal the King on that card. There were some other fantastic battles on there, but from what I understand, it is uploaded on YouTube. So make sure you go over to iBattle and check that out. But MissVicious battled Kunal the King on that card. And if you hadn't had a chance to check that battle out, listen, it was a lot going on that battle. And I don't think everyone was able to catch how fast things were kind of happening during that battle. It is definitely a watch and a rewatch. Listen, MissVicious did her absolute thing. Now, Kunal the King, I'm not taking anything away from you. I think you did a great job as well. But MissVicious had a moment in her round where she had to pause. And sometimes, I know being a performer that sometimes your nerves can get the better of you. Sometimes you have feelings of nervousness or anxiety that you just absolutely have to control. And if you can get a hold of those things and get back into your moment and get to moving like you never left, MissVicious did something that was so professional during her round and finished so incredibly strong. Listen, please go have that experience for yourself and check out the battle. I know I've said a lot here, but I did not give away any of the excitement that you should expect from this round. She did a fantastic job. I definitely give the round to her. Kunal the King, you did a great job as well. I'm not taking anything away from you. I just think that material for material, MissVicious had better material, and the way she kind of delivered and structured her round, to me, it was just a lot more entertaining than just dropping bars and making them kind of funny or kind of cute. She did a little more creativity that I could appreciate in her round and in that battle, and I gave it to her. But great job to you both. And please, by all means, go check the rest of that card out. It's the Playing with Fire card on the iBattle platform. So from what I understand, it is on YouTube. So check that out. Also, listen, the things that I want to make sure I mention, as I always do in the announcements, and then we are going to get into it. CommodityProductions.com. Commodity is the hidden hand for quite a few things that go on the EBL platform, as well as other platforms, some of them your favorite. Make sure you head over to CommodityProductions.com. I personally believe that Commodity used to write for John B back in the day. He's got an R&B side to him that I think a lot of people don't get to see. But when we go to halftime, there is definitely going to be a song in there, and you'll get to hear Commodity sing. He writes other songs. He has catchy songs at that. Very talented, as well as being behind the scenes with all of the technicalities and production to help a lot of the events that go on the platform and on the channels run smoothly. So he wears many hats. Make sure you check out him on his own.com. That's commodityproductions.com. And make sure you listen in for him on the at the halfway point on the break song, because that is him singing. It's not your time to talk. It's time to listen. That's Commodity. So check him out. Also, EBL exclusive Battle League. If it ain't exclusive, it don't matter. That is my home channel, and it's where you guys were introduced to Fibonacci Brown. So make sure you guys head over to EBL exclusive Battle League on all platforms. And go through the content, share the content. EBL has over 300 audio battles. I don't think people understand that when it comes to the audio space, EBL is the leader and pioneer and kings of that space. So if you want to see where a lot of the faces that you become familiar with that are outside, so to speak, some of them have come through the audio space with EBL. So make sure you check them out, like their platforms, and that way you can keep up with upcoming events. I do hear there is an October event being planned. So again, make sure you're subscribed to everything so you can keep up with all of those things. Maybe we'll see MissVicious on a card again before that or at that time, but I'm definitely going to be keeping a close eye because she has not let me down yet, y'all. I can't say enough about MissVicious, but I'm gonna move on. Anywho, also make sure you guys check out Fibonacci Brown. Okay, can y'all make sure you guys check out Fibonacci Brown? I am a published author. I am the author of Growing Down, an observation of the masculinization of the Black American woman, Volume 1. That is going to be found on my website at FiboNacciBrown.com. It is still at the introductory price. You guys have been so good to me, and I think that I can be good to you in return and keep it at the introductory price. So make sure you guys head over to FiboNacciBrown.com, check out my book. You'll also be able to find some other media there, links to some of the shows, some of the Nacho Sunday shows, as well as photos that have been taken over time that have to do with the show, video shoots, all kinds of stuff. So head over there, check it out. I'd love to see you in the traffic. And last but not least, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting a major thing. I told you guys when I came on here that I've been shooting videos. I am a rap artist as well. Me and my husband have been working on the Scription project. We have Scription Volume 1 and actively working Scription Volume 2. Make sure you subscribe to the platform so you can keep up with that. You'll also be able to check us out in our Oplings video. We are definitely working on some other videos for some of the other songs from the Scription Volume 2 album. But you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Tidal, Apple Music, and YouTube. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. I hope you enjoy the media that we have for you. And last but not least, beats, bars, and buds with EBL's very own Oflo. If you are not aware, Oflo can freestyle off the top of his head for eons and hours and months and years. He is just not human when it comes to that. And he hosts a show called Beats, Bars, and Buds, where you can find that on X, formerly Twitter. And he also has Minutes with the Master, where he does these intense freestyle sessions for a few minutes to show you why he is definitely the master. So make sure you guys check out Oflo on X, formerly Twitter. And that is going to wrap up our announcement so that we could get into our Nacho. Now, listen, when we talk about our cheesy nacho, we are talking about our money. So the nacho cheese today is going to be something I heard in one of the Trump campaign. I'm sorry, somebody is giving me the wait a second. I have not checked in with the chat. They like, we're not ready for the cheese yet. You didn't check in with the chat or nothing. I'm like, okay, hold on. Let me check in with the chat. First of all, I see, okay, the mailman is in the chat saying, Nachi, how you doing, mailman? And 2-1, my fave. 2-1XL is in the chat. Nacho Sunday, yes, sir. And listen, Commodity Productions is in the chat as well. The hidden hand I was telling you about earlier, he said it's 5:43 here, so you are early. Thank you for that, Diddy, because I was like, listen, I had a lot going on. It's not gonna be 6 o'clock, but it's gonna be 6 o'clock somewhere. So thank you for that, Diddy. Anywho, I hope you guys are ready to dig into our cheesy nacho or our nacho cheese. And in this week's nacho cheese, we talk about money as always. But as I was starting to say, one of the Trump campaigns that I listened to had the voice of Ronald Reagan. And one of the questions this Ronald Reagan voice was, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? And when I look at and examine that question a little more closely, not to say that I align myself with Trump, but to definitely say that the question posed in his campaign with the Ronald Reagan voice wasn't important when I thought, and I decided to ponder on it. And looking at 2020 to 2024, I am looking at things that I see changing, but at the same time, I'm also wondering, is this just me? You know, is it just me? You know, am I the only one picking up on this, or is this something that is really a phenomenon going on with everybody? And one of the things I've noticed is that things are starting to cost more. Things are starting to seem like, you know, they didn't used to cost this much, and the amount that I'm getting doesn't seem to be as much as it was. So the quantity of what I'm getting is shrinking, but the price I'm paying is increased. And when I looked into it statistically, due to inflation, there has been a cumulative price increase of things as much as 21.5%. Now, that's to say across the board, prices on average have gone up 21.5%. With respect to food and how we feed ourselves, groceries have started or have increased 30%. So where the average is 21.5%, groceries on average have increased 30%. And my question to my audience and to anyone in the viewership, do you think that with the increase of food going up so much in just 4 years, that it's time to start taking growing food a little more seriously? Now, as many of my nachotarians know, you guys know I come out here, I'm always talking about, you know, growing your own food, starting gardens, looking for land so that you can be able to sustain yourself, grow what you need to grow so that you can feed yourself and not worry about, you know, what if the Kroger closes? What if the Publix closes? What if the Piggly Wiggly is shut down? Like, I'm a preacher of that. And I'm wondering, you know, what is your solution in that regard? Do we just keep spending money? You know, do we just keep get whatever they decide to charge? You know, what if it goes up another 30%? That's going to be 60% in 8 years? Is that to be expected? Or do we start to say, you know what, I don't have the money to just keep paying $10 for milk, or whatever the going rate is. I don't drink, forgive me, but get what I'm saying. Do you just keep paying the higher price, or do you find a way to be able to sustain yourself? Do you just pay whatever they ask you for whatever tomato they grow and decide to sell you? Or do you say, hey, you know what, I'm going to grow my own tomatoes. I'm going to grow my own food. I'm going to start pickling and jarring and doing all the things I need to do to save in a food pantry, so that I don't have to worry about where I'm going to get my food from, or if there's too much snow on the ground, or if they want to charge this price this week and this price next week. Like, are we motivated yet? Are we motivated yet to do something about what's going on? And the reason I'm asking is because, and listen, this is Sunday, and this is Nacho Sundays, whereas Nacho opinion is Nacho's opinion. And in my opinion, with this looming presidency, I think that we are not smart about the strategy we want to use going forward. We could find ourselves upside down in what we think is a victory. It could go very bad if we're not prepared for whatever could happen. If we don't think that the time has already come and that we are in the time where things need to be taken back into the control of the people, I don't know where we think we're going to get with our current options, because they're not, I'm not convinced that that's the way. So if you're not already seriously thinking about survival things, how you're going to feed yourself, where you're going to get your water from, if you're not thinking about those things, or if that kind of stuff is not on your mind, especially in time like this, what are you thinking about? What, we're 30% on groceries in 4 years is insane. Okay. And I even heard a lot of people say maybe that was because of COVID, and we had that spike in basically what we were buying, because we thought, there was going to be some shortage of toilet paper and the like. So that is so good. Oh my goodness. So I can kind of see that, but then I kind of can't, because it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have already been of a mind to think that, hey, I don't have to always go to the grocery store to buy everything I need. Some of this stuff I already have. You've got people who they will get the canned goods necessary, grow the vegetables, the beans, the corn, and all of those things necessary. And ultimately, they will get into cold pressing their own oils and making their own dressings, making their own dairy products if you eat dairy. Some people even make their own vegan cheese at home. Some people are making their own vegan meat patties with walnuts and the like. So you already had people kind of in that mindset that they needed to do something to sustain themselves. But I think for me, 30% in 4 years increase on groceries is an eye opener, because if the food is going to cost more, anything else involving food is going to go up as well. That means your Uber Eats order is getting ready to increase or has increased. That means that your cash ordering, if you get products delivered to your home from other grocery stores, that service is going to increase because the food is increasing. They're not going to just eat that cost and let the consumer stay paying what they've been paying because they used to it. So where do we draw the line to say some of this I have to do on my own? Some of this I have to be able to to say, you know what, I don't have to waste the gas and pollute the air and go to the grocery store and buy all this stuff. I could, if I was growing this stuff, I wouldn't be needing this right now. And if you can encourage your neighbors to do the same, you guys can trade food. If somebody wants to use their gardening space to grow all the tomatoes you guys would need, and then somebody else can do all the potatoes and beans, and then somebody else can do, you know, if you could work a network within your communities, you could really downsize the need for certain grocery stores to have the position to take advantage of you. Now, I'm looking at the chat and I see Oflo has joined us again. Don't forget to check him out on X, formerly Twitter, with the Beats, Bars, and Buds show. He is the dopest freestyle rapper on the internet. Check him out. That's your EBL's own Oflo. He said, Yizzo, I'm the energy. Let them eat. I get it, Oflo. Listen, first of all, what you have to understand about Oflo is Oflo probably has about 6 different ways to do one thing. So if they close the grocery store and you can't go to Piggly Wiggly, the Publix, the Kroger, so on, if you live anywhere near Oflo, he's probably already got that stuff, and you could just call him with your order and he gonna work it out for you. So Oflo said, keep Uber Eats name out your mouth. We out here. Spoken like a true Uber Eats driver. Listen, I'm not trying to discourage anybody from those services. Lord knows that I have definitely spent an ungodly amount of money on the convenience of those delivery services. However, I do need to be able to put it out there that if groceries have increased 30% in 4 years, they're gonna roll that cost. The middle guy, or the guy, you know, the Uber Eats driver isn't getting ready to eat that cost for you. The grocery store chain isn't getting ready to eat that cost for you. They're like, okay, if the farmers or wherever we're being sourced from, if they're gonna charge more, then we're gonna charge you more. And if you have to pass that service along, meaning like if you're in the restaurant industry, let's say you go to the grocery store, you go to a bulk store to get your products, and they cost more there. That pasta, that veggie pasta or pasta primavera you used to getting, you know, where it used to be, you know, $17.99, now $23.99. They've rolled that cost. So my question is, what are we going to do about it? Is now the time to start taking, I know some of the growing season is over for now, but do we start to take seriously growing our own food sources? Do we need to start building hoop houses and greenhouses to start growing food through the winter? Like, is now the time to start taking it seriously? When do we get to the point where we say, okay, enough is enough. I'm tired of them playing with my food. You know, I'm not going to be in a position where I have to worry about, do I, do I make a choice to eat something that's not even really edible because I can't get to the grocery store? Or should I start trying to figure out a way to take care of myself, do things for myself so that I'm not so dependent? You know, I'm not telling you to totally detach right now. Some of us are not prepared to do so, but do we start now to start thinking like, okay, maybe I need to do something? I was watching one of those survival channels, and there was a video that came on. I believe it was on my husband's phone, and it was talking about how to filter water. And one of the first things that I saw about filtering water was the life straw. But this guy had done all these experiments just to be able to figure out, you know, if I come across some water and I'm thirsty or I need to hydrate, how do I know this water is safe? Is there something around me that I can do to make sure that I can make this water safe enough to drink? And it's like, I don't think enough of us think that far in advance, or think we're going to be in a situation where those types of skills are necessary. And if we get priced out of groceries, if groceries becomes a luxury, what are we going to do? So I'm real interested to see what some of my listening audience thinks about the increase in things. 21.5% on average in prices. So, you know, whatever you were paying in 2020 for just about anything, it was over 20% cheaper. Now, I know a lot of times during presidential elections, people like to focus on gas prices. For some reason, that is their indicator of how well or how awful it's going. And I don't think that enough attention is being paid to some of the other price fluctuations that can kind of give us an indication of what's going on. So again, this is Nacho Sundays, where it's not your opinion, it's Nacho's opinion. And in my opinion, we are not better off now than we were 4 years ago. I said it. I'm not impressed with the Biden administration. A good giggle when I think about how those campaign commercials started to roll out for Biden before the vice president threw in her or was put in position to be a presidential candidate. Now, they were trying to make it seem like Biden gets the job done, whatever generality that means. And then suddenly it was, I'm going to drop out. So when he did that, it's like, what do you expect us to trust the administration that let that charade go on? Like, if for no other reason, forget the lies that are currently being told with the two candidates that are being talked about most in this election. What about the administration that let Weekend at Biden's go down? Who put us in that years-long weekend episode at Biden's to even think that we would give our trust? On their watch, everything went up 20-some%. Groceries 30%. So an essential, like you got to eat. Why would we support that? Like, in my opinion, and again, this is Nacho Sundays where it's not your opinion, it's Nacho's opinion. In my opinion, if you are not encouraged to start growing your own food, tapping into your own water source, or making sure you have a water source, doing actively things that support your survival with respect to how you eat and where you're going to get your water from, if you're not doing something, I don't know what you're waiting on. I don't know. Don't think that somebody's going to have it for you. They're going to jack the price up on you until food is a luxury. Apple, $10. Is that what we waiting on? Cob of corn, $7, one. Like, is that what we're waiting on? Is that what we're going to sit around and let happen before we realize that we could grow our own food? You eat things with seeds in them all the time. You can take the scraps of the seeds and grow it. It's possible. I remember at an old address where my husband and I were renting, and we saw this look like a prickly plant growing on the side of the house. And it was where we would normally put sometimes we would pull our cans before our garbage cans before we pulled them all the way back. So that's one of the spots they would kind of rest at before we pulled it all the way back. So I noticed this plant, and I was going to get rid of it because I thought it was a weed, but I decided to let it grow. And, you know, we forgot about it after a while. And when we looked again, it was a tomato plant. And it had little tomatoes growing on it, different colors, green, orange, red. Like, it was, you know, I just thought, you know, how resilient that was. Like, I didn't even do anything to grow this. and boom, here it is. So I think sometimes we take for granted how easy it is to be able to just provide some of the things that we need on our own. How hard is it to grow herbs that basically all they need is a little sunshine and water? You know, you don't even have to really monitor it in that way. So I don't know what it's going to take to encourage people to get in the game. But if you are interested in spending 30% more on groceries on a continuous basis and not trying to do something about it by way of growing your own food or looking to source your own things, maybe within your community, maybe you can do a community grow. now's the time. I don't know what we waiting on another third. We get ready to go into another presidency. Like, are we, are we even asking to have grocery prices come down 30% as a tangible in this presidency? Like, what are we going to do about it? Just keep paying the higher prices? Let me know what's on your mind, Nachotarians. Right now, we are going to take a small break. And then after that break, we're going to get into our beefy nacho. I'll see you in a second.
You are now listening to the Nacho Podcast, brought to you by the EBL Network. If it ain't exclusive, it don't matter. It's not your time to talk, it's time to listen. So pull up to the table with your plate and pay attention. It's not your time to talk, not your Sunday. It's something different. This is not your opinion, and you don't wanna miss it. It's not your time to talk. It's time for the show.
A woman is the most potent expression of feminine energy in the harmonic equation of the human experience. Growing Down, an observation of the masculinization of the Black American woman. Volume 1. Get your copy at FiboNacciBrown.com.
In my mental, this wish a nigga was central. Make sure it's holy in your temple. You a vegetable when I'm in the room, and I'm vegetarian when I eat my food. Palms together when I pray on you, cause the chef about to use her favorite tool. Chop, cut, slice, dice. Shit, I ain't even got a knife. Seem like when I spell it in a rhyme, I cut a motherfucker up and serve him over rice.
You are now listening to the Nacho Podcast, brought to you by the EBL Network. If it ain't exclusive, it don't matter. It's not your time to talk, it's time to listen. So pull up to the table with your plate and pay attention. It's not your time to talk, not your Sunday. It's something different. This is not your opinion, and you don't wanna miss it. It's not your time to talk. It's time for the show.
Welcome back, family. Was I gone too long? I know I had hit the extra intro in there. I wanted to show Commodity a little love on the intro because I told you guys he wears many hats, and that was him singing on It's Not Your Time to Talk, it's time to listen. Hey. So, anywho, moving on into our nacho. We are on the beefy nacho, where we talk about conflict wherever it may exist in the world. And this week's beef is with Rickey Smiley and Steve Harvey and their effect and their effect on the Black vote, or presumption thereof. So in the last 3 to 4 weeks of what's been going on the Kamala campaign, different celebrities have come out to express their support or lack thereof for whichever candidate they want to throw their hat in the race for. So unfortunately, there are celebrities who are not educated enough to understand that there are other candidates who are in the race for the presidential seat outside of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. There's also Cornel West, who is arguably one of the blackest black men who ever black man before. And I believe Jill Stein. There's also, unless somebody was joking, because, anywho, as well as JFK, one of the Kennedys, is also running for president. they have different opinions and positions and approaches to how they would like to do things if should they be elected president. And we've heard quite the opinions from Steve Harvey and Rickey Smiley. I'm going to start first with Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey had an opportunity to interview Kamala Harris, and he made it clear that he already knew there was going to be some backlash in his DMs for not asking the hard-hitting questions. And just as frank as he was to tell Monique that this is the money game, he told us that ain't what this is. We trying to alley-oop, and if you don't vote, then how we gonna get reparations or ask for anything the next time if you don't vote this time? So now that has marinated, no, Steve, you are supposed to ask the hard-hitting questions. And I think when you opt to not do that, but you want to be the interviewer, you want to ask people things, you want to be the liaison between the candidate and the people, that's where you lack the journalism necessary to have the tact that allows those questions to be asked in an effective way so that the candidate is able to be transparent about what you're asking them and the people are able to get a real answer. And your inability to do that is disrespectful to real journalism, I think. And again, this is Nacho Sundays, where it's not your opinion, it's Nacho's opinion. And yes, Steve Harvey, I think it is downright disrespectful that you didn't ask the hard-hitting questions and you thought that that was an opportunity to chastise your audience, to let them know, quote unquote, that ain't what this is. Then what is it? Because if you think that in 90 plus years of voting as a Democrat, that we should now not ask hard-hitting questions when we have clearly not gotten any of the things that we've been looking for in 90 years. And you think this time, now is not the time to ask the hard-hitting questions. Joe Biden was asked hard-hitting questions, and he was knocking on heaven's door. Like, how old is Joe Biden? 100, 150? He answered hard-hitting questions. Why would it be different for Kamala, especially from someone like you? Additionally, I think the Democratic Party has some explaining to do with respect to the fact that they are not requiring decent representation from any candidate. And now it's gotten so bad that you are playing in our faces. Why do I say that? Well, Kamala Harris said out of her own mouth, I'm not going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No, that's what she said as a Democrat. How do you as a Democrat not do something that's only going to benefit Black people? I listened to your speech when you talked about the Freedmen's Bank and how this bank was established with the change from children and the few cents from hardworking people, Black families, which you specified, who wanted to be able to save to buy farms, and that you wanted to celebrate the reopening of this bank and its initiatives by making it available for everyone. Even though some of the people or all of the people who lost their money in that bank when it closed got no recourse, no reparation, nothing. And then you want to, in their name, give it to everybody. You weren't going to ask nothing about that, Steve? Nothing? You weren't going to ask her why she was a Democrat not wanting to do stuff for Black people specifically? This is anything. Look, Steve Harvey be a red flag to me. Like, sometimes when I hear that he's involved, I'm already like, so seeing him interviewing her immediately, I'm like, oh, here's the BS right here. I'm not going to take political cues from someone who thinks that is the way to play the game. There's nothing strategic about that. Just going along to get along is not playing the game. That's getting played by the game. When you have strategy, when you have ways to get things accomplished that matter to your side of the issue, that's playing the game. That's having a strategy. I don't know what you're talking about, Steve. No. And Rickey Smiley, you know, Rickey Smiley decided to take his platform and chastise his listening audience about how just insane some of us must be, because we didn't see the added value to Black people that an Alpha was going to get sworn in by a Delta on another Alpha's birthday. Let me hurry up and get my purse and take that to the bank, because that's got to be valuable, right? What am I going to do with that? And then the way he talked to people, you know, what is wrong with y'all? And I know I'm right. Like, he just left no room for there may be something else that we have to consider. The way he totally disrespected what Kamala Harris did as a prosecutor to that gentleman, and his name escapes me right now. I will have it for you next Nacho Sundays. But the gentleman who she put in jail, who was innocent, and he sat there in jail for 6 years. And when they actually caught the person who did the crime that he was in jail for, she suppressed evidence so that it never came to light, as to not mess up her record. This gentleman was not only locked up for 6 years by her, but then when he was I don't know if it's a pardon or where he was expunged, where they, you know, recognized the error in their ways, it cost taxpayers $13 million. Are we ready to pay tens of millions of dollars to Kamala's mishaps because she wants to keep a clean record? It indicates to me that she's willing to do anything so that it looks good on the surface. That's not the kind of president I want. That's not the kind of president I think would be effective for this country. And considering she already had a job as the border czar, and I'm listening to firsthand accounts of people talking about being in Colorado, where Venezuelan gangs have taken over entire apartment buildings and are collecting rent on behalf of the landlords, who cannot remove them and cannot get help from the police, the FBI, or Border Patrol. And she's also a part of the presidency that hid from us the downfall of Joe Biden. We're really going to try to sell us a sickly Joe Biden as getting the job done. She was a part of that. She was a Democrat who's not going to do nothing only for Black people. No. And Rickey Smiley is drunk on symbolism to the point of tears. And I got tears in my eyes about this woman, because what's wrong with y'all? Like, who are you talking to, Rickey? You don't talk to grown people like that. And you think because there is some sort of sorority connection that can be made here, that somehow all Black people should be celebrating this. Newsflash, the majority of Black people are not in a sorority or fraternity. The majority of Black people are not running around here under Greek traditions and foundations. No. I like that, y'all. I'm going to keep doing that shit. But no, that's not the background. So you're not connecting to a lot of us with that plea. I also think to be so passionate asking what's wrong with us, as if because we don't see the value in a fraternity or sorority connection that something must obviously be wrong with us. That's insulting, Rickey. Very. There's nothing wrong with me, and there's nothing wrong with millions of other Black people, especially Black women, who are not connecting to Kamala Harris or Ketanji, or and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but the other woman he mentioned that will be doing the swearing in. There's nothing wrong with us if we don't connect to those women. Some of us are out here married to Black men with Black children who didn't pledge anything and still went to college and got degrees. We're out here. So I don't understand why something has to be wrong with us to the point you are driven to tears. You know, you and Steve Harvey, y'all similar in that way. Y'all like to be crying about something. You like to be Black men whimpering and whining, where I don't see that in any other race of men who have a media platform they take to crying all the time. They're so moved all the time. They just take to, you know, I'm brought to tears, and you know, they like, who cares? You look like you can't protect. You look like you're good at talking a lot of stuff and crying about it. I'm not running for protection to the man crying. I'm not interested in the plan of how to move forward from the man who takes to crying all the time. It screams weakness. I'm not going to buck the system. I'm going to play the game. Screams weakness. An alpha swearing in a theta with a delta on a sigma side. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any of the sororities, but for Rickey Smiley to hang his hat on that and act like something is wrong with the rest of us because we just can't see it. Rickey Smiley, what is wrong with you, sir? So I'm just not able to connect to someone who wants to even play like they are a Black person when their mother is Hindu Indian, their father is Hindu Indian and Irish, and her father was born in Jamaica to his Indian Irish parents, and never himself claimed to be a Black man. But somehow we're supposed to accept that Kamala is a Black woman and not catch the disconnect that because she's not a Black woman, she doesn't understand the importance of doing something that's only going to benefit Black people. No, she don't get it. Kendrick Lamar tried to warn us when he told us they not like us. This was coming. She's not like us. If she was, she would have understood the disrespect. And the fact that Rickey Smiley wants to use his platform to manipulate Black people into voting because, in his words, she would make a great Madam President, with not nan policy other than, I'm not going to do something only for Black people. No. That didn't matter to you. The gentleman who ended up getting $13 million because of Kamala's insistence on putting him in jail when he was innocent, even after they caught the person who actually did what this gentleman was accused of. She still wanted to suppress evidence to keep him in jail. She laughed at him in court. This man is telling his story. For some reason, that is the character that you want to manipulate us into voting for. Not today, Mr. Smiley. And I'm going to call you Mr. Frowny from now on, because I'm disgusted at your behavior as a man, as an on-air personality. And if you had any leadership aspirations, this was definitely the straw that tilted the oh hell no for me. I can't continue to listen. When I actually tried to listen to you to see if maybe, I'm like, maybe Rickey Smiley's just passionate about politics. Maybe he's drunk the politics juice and he's just passionate like a lot of people are around the political presidential election time. So I tried to listen to him again. And he was having a conversation about Simone Biles seeing her mother, who is reaching out to her at this time. And he's like, maybe her mother needs that closure, and sometimes, you need to reach out so you can give it to her. First of all, you don't know what's going on in that girl's business. And to think that, because you are just older, not necessarily to say that you gained any wisdom from getting there, but you are just older. You think that you can speak to situations in other grown people's business. Simone Biles is 27 years old. This young lady has made moves that have definitely spoken to her maturity and her maturation over time, considering how long she's been in the Olympics. And for you to think that you could just step into her business and tell her what to do as if you are offering anything worth listening to is kind of like how you were in the last time I listened to you when you were talking about Kamala. You sounded very entitled. You sounded very matter of fact. And when it was time to dig into what you were saying, it was very, very shallow, very unresearched. And the fact that you were telling people to research just was projection and irony as far as I'm concerned. And again, this is Nacho Sundays, where it's not your opinion, it's Nacho's opinion. And Rickey Smiley, you sound very entitled. You cry too much. And I think you and Steve Harvey are similar in that regard. And I think you guys are programs that are being used and manipulated to use and manipulate Black people into voting a certain way. And for people who continue to listen to you, you continue to manipulate them with emotion, shallow jargon, and sometimes unresearched facts. Rickey Smiley told everybody if you just look her up, look what she's done for Black people, you'll see it. First thing came up was $13 million mistake. That's what happened when I went and did what you said do, which was research it. And I honestly saw in that moment that if you would have did the same thing, you'd have saw it too. And maybe you did see it and decided because you were already passionately connected to her being a Black woman, even though she was cosplaying and her father never said he was ever a Black man, but y'all let her get here and play in your face and say, yo, man, I'm a Black woman. Yeah. Y'all let her do that. And we're supposed to just go the way that Rickey Smiley went because he thinks he's that important that he should be swaying the Black people to do whatever he wants them to do. Again, it's disgusting, Rickey. And you too, Steve. Like none of you, either of you come across as my idea of a stand-up, strong leadership Black man. When I think of a stand-up, strong leadership Black man, neither of you come to mind. Neither, not top 20, not top 50, 1199, neither of you. Shame on both of y'all. Moving on into our veggie nacho, where we talk about health. I want to know, and I'm going to pose this question. Somebody's like, hold on, you didn't go to the chat. Okay, so 2-1 is in our chat. He said that it's called playing in your face. Your impersonations are crazy. He was talking about how in the Beefy Nacho, I was talking about Rickey Smiley and Steve Harvey. Yes, they are playing in our face. And I hope that we wake up and recognize that we should not be taking our political cues from people who think everything is funny. And this is not to take a shot at other comedians, because I know other comedians who take their craft very seriously and they use that craft to discuss very difficult subject matter in a way that makes us all feel included and light about it so that we can get through it. Neither of these two is that person. So let me make it clear that I'm not talking about those comedians, okay? Anywho, let's get into our veggie nacho where we talk about health. And in our veggie nacho this week, I am going to be talking about the new flu. Now, I know y'all guys are like, Nacho, what is the new flu? I ain't never heard of the new flu. Well, it's going to be C19.2.0. They're already making vaccines. People are already gearing up to either prepare to take them or to figure out how they're going to say no this time. Some people are also concerned as to whether or not they will be mandated to take these shots, mandated to have these shots in the workplace. Will there be a harsher penalty for people who refuse outside of losing their jobs or worse? So, you know, did the C19 replace flu? Because I've even heard this referred to as C19 season. And you remember we used to have flu season all the time. So did we replace it? Are you going to get the jab this time, this version? How do you feel about the different variations where they had vaccines that were put on the shelf, pulled from the shelf? Some expired. This one's no good. This one's ineffective. This one has awful side effects. Like, are you willing to keep up with all of this so that you can have the latest of the jabs? And then of the 10 jabs you got, you know, the fourth one and the seventh one were bad, and what effect that's going to have on the rest of you? And do you need to get another jab to counter those jabs? Like, are you prepared for that? Your shot records look longer than they did when you were a kid. As an adult, adult vaccines by the multitude. Are you ready for that? And what do we do to kind of prevent this? Because that's one thing I have not heard. I haven't heard any prevention. No prevention on how to even avoid this. It would seem that rather than prepare to have another round of vaccines, that maybe we will be doing something by way of a cure, by way of making sure this doesn't happen again, by way of you know, kind of how we do the Susan G. Komen, you know, breast cancer research every year, every time there's some pink explosion where they are trying to get it figured out. Why didn't we do that for this? Didn't we lose enough with the C19? All we did was just pour more money into the latest version, the latest booster, the latest jab, this time with this number that isn't expired or pulled off the shelf locally and globally. What are we going to do to keep ourselves from getting this? I'm practicing abstinence. I don't want any vaccine C19 related anything penetrating me. So that's what I'm doing. I would love to hear what you guys are doing, because, you know, talking about this vaccine and the C19, that gets as passionate as talking about politics with some people. And I know you like, you know, Nacho, it might not be that serious. Listen, it's Nacho Sundays, where it's Nacho opinion is Nacho's opinion. I'm here to tell you, it be that serious. Folks are tripping. Okay. So, you know, are you going to get the shot? Are you going to get the latest jab? Have you had enough? And you're like, nope, I did the last round. I'm not doing this again. You know, what does that mean to you? You know, did you lose someone and you feel like, you know, maybe if they got the jab, they wouldn't have lost? Or do you feel like they got the jab and because they got it and I didn't, and I'm here and they not, I'm not going to do it? What are your thoughts on that? I am not a jabber, not interested. And I am concerned about how they're going to mandate it this time. So I want to know your thoughts on that. And with that said, we are going to get into our Nacho Supreme, which is our knowledge nugget, things that we use to get through this thing called life, or things we wish we knew when we were younger. This time, I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but it's going to be about symbology versus tangible accomplishments. Know the difference. So in order to demonstrate this knowledge nugget, I want to tell you a story. There's a guy named Chad, and Chad was working at X company. And at X company, they weren't a very large company, but they were large enough to where if you did a good job on certain things, you could rightfully use that accomplishment to ask for a raise. And this guy took that into account and wanted to see if he could get a raise by doing a good job on one or more of his projects. So he took two of his clients that normally weren't high performers and basically turned those around to be more than profitable clients for himself and the company. And he received his commissions from working the accounts, but when he was ready to use that to get a raise, as he had seen other people do in the company, they decided to give him Employee of the Month. And where he thought he was going to be able to elevate and make moves with a larger salary and a larger chunk of the pie, the profit pie, he was in turn given Employee of the Month, where they took his picture, put it in the break room, and gave his team pizza and their choice of soda beverage for lunch one day. So this gentleman would have much rather had the raise. It was a tangible, it was something that he could carry into his future and use to build on that to go higher in his career. Where the company felt they would give him the Symbology, your Employee of the Month. Everybody's walking by you giving you a high five, and you have your picture in the break room for a month as Employee of the Month. So when you say things like, it's a member of this incorporation gonna swear in a member of this incorporation on the day of the gentleman whose day it is who was a part of this other incorporation, and think that that's supposed to mean something significant to the progression of Black people in a tangible way, understand the insult. Know the difference between a tangible accomplishment and Symbology. They didn't give you reparations. They gave you MLK Day and Juneteenth. They didn't give you a raise. They gave you Employee of the Month. You only get what you negotiate. If you're satisfied with Symbology, you'll be offered Symbology. And the bigger the Symbology, the bigger the celebration they decide to have for you, the more they don't have to discuss money with you. The tangibilities that allow you to build a brighter future for yourself. Require the tangibles and throw your own party. Don't wait on somebody we're going to give you a statue at the park. No, give me what you owe me and I'll get my own statue. Know the difference between Symbology and tangible accomplishments. Ask yourself, what is the long ball result? I heard some people saying, I'm just glad that we were able to see Barack Obama in office because my grandmama got to see a Black man as president. No disrespect to your grandmama, but what does that do for the rest of us? What does her seeing a Black man in office mean for us? If it's your grandmama, she might have, seen a lot, but I'm sure she would probably want something more tangible than just being able to see a Black man. She a grandmama. What's she finna do with that? Is that going to encourage her to run for president? Is that gonna be like, what are we supposed to do with grandmama seeing a Black man in office? What is that supposed to do for us? That a Black man and a Black woman who ain't Black in the presidential seat in a lifetime? What is wrong with y'all? Nothing. It's just not tangible. I can't go down to the utility company and enjoy paying a bill that's less than it was because they've gotten some control on a presidential level of or I should say on a governmental level on fluctuating utility costs. I can't enjoy that. I have to try to go down there and be like, well, I know I don't have your money and I know, things are going up, but, my grandmama got to see Barack Obama in office. So that's good enough for me. Let me just pay you more money. No, You only get what you negotiate. It's one of the first things they teach you in business, or at least it's one of the first things you should learn in business. And if you're not willing to negotiate in this business called the United States, that is a corporation, and you don't understand the impact and importance of how you should be looking for tangibles, you'll never get the raise at that company. You understand what the raise at the company is? What company you're in? Ketchup, mustard. Anywho, that's going to be our show. I'm going to go over to the chat. I see 2-1 is keeping our chat crawling. Thank you guys for pulling up today to Nacho Sundays, where Nacho Opinion is Nacho's Opinion. I want you to enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I know it's been quite rainy here in the D. For those of you who don't know, I am from Detroit, Michigan. And yes, it's been raining on and off all day, but there have been quite the events going on with the Woodward Dream Cruise and some other festivals and things. So I'm going to go try to enjoy the rest of my Sunday. And I'm going to catch y'all next Sunday. Bye.
You are now listening to the Nacho Podcast, brought to you by the EBL Network. If it ain't exclusive, it don't matter. It's not.
Yeah, 2-1 Illuminous, FiboNacci Brown, yeah. It's fuck these oplings seeking refuge in my mental. This wish a nigga was central. Make sure it's holy in your temple. You a vegetable when I'm in the room, and I'm vegetarian when I eat my food. Palms together when I pray on you, cause the chef about to use her favorite tool. Chop, cut, slice, dice. Shit, I ain't even got a knife. Seem like when I spell it in a rhyme, I cut a motherfucker up and serve him over rice.
Bye, y'all.